Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis Nordhoff, and today I'm joined by Ollie Hayes to talk about the right back situation at Everton. There's so many players who could play in this position. It seems like the one part of the squad where we've got a wealth of options. How are we doing, Ollie?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I would like to say that I'm enjoying the international break without Everton. It's nice to get away from Everton, isn't it, sometimes? But no, I'm looking forward to them coming back next weekend now. And yeah, what better way to talk about the right back situation?
Well, we miss them, don't we? We miss them while they're away, and we're going to get into this one because weirdly, we've got some great squad depth in the right back spot, I suppose. In terms of numbers, we've got three right backs who can all play there. One of which is 38, 39, one of which is 35, and then Nathan Patterson as well. So let's chat about them all. We'll start with Ashley Young. Okay, so Ashley Young came in summer. There was a few raised eyebrows because of his age, but I suppose overall he's proven to be quite a reliable member of the squad. He's had his moments, that's for sure. He really has. And he's
At
played right
Anfield, yeah.
back. Yeah, Anfield, we don't want to talk about that. He's played right back, he's played left back, he's played on the wing. But let's look at him specifically at right back. What do you make of him? And do you think he has a part to play in the last few games of the season?
Um, it's a difficult one because at the start of the season, when Ashley Young came in, I was one advocating for it. I said it was smart business. I was thinking it was decent on a free transfer just for a season, just as backup there. But I never expected him to play as many games as he has. Obviously, he has a part to play in these last 10 games. I think he has shown glimpses that he has still got it a little bit. And obviously, I know you lose that yard of pace at that age. And you know, the fact that he's even still playing in the Premier League at this high level, I think is every credit to him. But yeah, for me, I think there is better options in our squad. And as you said, he has his moments, doesn't he? At times he's absolutely reckless in terms of his challenges and culminating in that Anfield one where he got sent off in the first half. But yeah, I think he is a calm head sometimes. We have seen sometimes where he is a calm head. Whereas in other games, he completely loses his head and he gets a booking in the first half. You never know what Ashley Young you're going to get. He's so inconsistent. But I think in some games, it's that experience that you need just to see out the game. So maybe like late cameos in games just to shore up the defense and see games out. I think that's where his appearances might come in these last 10 games.
So more of a bit part role, I suppose. I
Yeah,
agree
yeah, yeah.
that it's not always he's not always the one to rely on. Sometimes he is because you'd think overall he is a cool head, but I think it's the lack of pace, the loss of pace, I suppose, that makes him
Mm,
commit those fouls. Because if a player does get past him, he takes the decision to then just take him down, doesn't he, and make sure he's
mm.
dealt with them so they don't get past him. And he often gets booked, doesn't he? So that is a bit of an issue for us, but he isn't our starting right back. And when all is fit, you would imagine he is third choice. So yes, he'll
Yeah,
play a part, but I think we can both agree that we don't want him to be playing every game for the rest of the season. But fair play to him for the fact that he has played as much as he has. I suppose that is credit to a player who's nearly 40 and was actually at the same team as Sean Dyche while he was playing. So that just shows, doesn't it,
mental,
really? So
mental.
on from Ashley Young now, club captain, Seamus Coleman, absolute hero at the club, loved by so many. £60,000 he cost, and we can't really speak highly enough of him. He may be coming back from injury soon. Hopefully, he's fully fit now going into these last 10 games. We can really use him. I think Coleman's fantastic. I think the fact that he's still delivering performances and is pretty much still our best right back at this point
Mm.
shows about it just shows the measure of the guy, really. Fantastic fella. Definitely bought into Everton overall, and now he's a massive blue, isn't he? And aside from all that, still a pretty good player as well. I think he offers us a bit more going forward than Young, even though he's not got the legs that he used to have. He's still a capable defender and he can still
Mm.
get forward a little bit. He's not quite got that final bit the modern day fullbacks have now, but
Mm.
I think he's going to be very useful to us. Even just having that captain on the pitch, having him there, I think it makes the team better just knowing that Seamus is on there. Seamus will deal with it. He's kind of in control. And there's been games where he's come back from injury and you're thinking, surely he's not going to be as good as he was. And he comes back and you're like, wow, he's still got it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Seamus Coleman.
No, same. I think he's a proper Evertonian now and shows what all us fans that want to be in an Everton shirt. I think he's the model Evertonian, I think. And on his day, I think he's the best right back that we've got. if he's fully fit, he is definitely our best option. However, it's just keeping that fitness. And listen, he's had some horrific injuries over the year, Seamus, and the fact that he's still playing into such a high level, you know, at his age as well, with all those injuries behind him, I think is fantastic. And I do worry that, the modern day winger does have that extra yard of pace and that too much pace to get past Seamus. And you look at the games that we've got coming up, there's some difficult teams there and teams that will have top wingers that are coming up against Seamus. And that's where I do worry for him. And that's where I worry for Young as well. I think both of those players have lost that yard of pace that they need in the modern day Premier League. However, what he lacks in pace, he's got the footballing brain. And I think that's something that's so crucial to us as a team. And I think he calms down the defense as well. You look at James Tarkowski, Jared Branthwaite to the left of him at centre half. I think he does just calm them down, knowing that they've got Seamus Coleman to their right. The club captain, he's such a vocal voice on the pitch, isn't he? Such a great leader. And for me, I think he does calm down that defence, and even players ahead of him as well. I think the midfield get a certain amount of comfort having Seamus on the pitch. So I think for me, I probably would look to have Seamus, if he is fully fit in these last 10 games, I probably would look to have Seamus as our fullback.
Yeah, I think he, when fit, is the one that you can trust the most. He might not be the best going forward out of all of them, and I'd say he probably is the best defensively, but he's the one that you can trust. And I think that's the biggest thing with
Mm,
Seamus. And the fact that he is still here playing is unbelievable, really. We're going into
mm,
another run in now and another relegation battle. And just to think deep in the running last year against Leicester, when he went off injured, me and you were there at the King Power thinking, will we ever see Seamus play for Everton again? And he
mm,
cheered on the fans, didn't he, on his way off? And he's just said this week in his Ireland press conference that he thought that that might be his parting gift as an Everton player, really, and he
yeah.
wanted to make sure he did one last thing to just try and will the team on. And he said it
Mm,
ended up being his medial ligaments, thankfully, rather than his ACL, and
mm,
it was something he could come back from. So we're pleased to still have him there, but I imagine in summer it's something we should definitely look at our current right back situation to ensure that we do have someone who can play there for the future. And we do have one at the club, and probably one that's people are clamoring for the most at the moment. Nathan Patterson, of course, Scottish right back, young lad that we brought in, paid a decent amount of money for him, and he hasn't fully shown what he's capable of yet. But you could also argue that he's not had a proper run in the team, and it might just now be the time for me for him to come in as we start to
mm.
think where are our goals coming from. And I think maybe just bringing him in might just shift the mindset to a more attacking mentality in the game. Having him there, having the player with legs, bit more attacking intent, just might push the team up the pitch a bit more. So I'm
Yeah,
interested to
yeah.
see what you think about Nathan Patterson because he is the talk of the town at the moment, isn't he?
He is, and it's a very mixed talk, isn't it? I think a lot of Evertonians are saying that he isn't good enough, and you have some Evertonians saying that he should have a spell in the team. I think I fall with the latter. I think he should have a spell in the team because I think it's very similar to the Mikalenko situation of last season. We didn't have another left back last season, did we? It was Mikalenko, and he was forced to play in that position. Whether he was having a bad game or a good game, or he's in poor form or not, Mikalenko was always going to play. And I think this massively benefited him, and a spell in the team would massively benefit Nathan Patterson because unfortunately in the Premier League, you're not going to improve if you don't play. Like that's just the bottom line of it. If you do not play in the Premier League, you're not going to improve. You're not going to be able to get the tempo of the league. You're not going to be able to get up to the speed that you need to be a fullback attacking and defensively. And I think Nathan Patterson does have the attributes there that will help us in the future. I think he's not at the level that we want him to be now. However, I think with a spell in the team, I think he would get to that level. And I do think he does have the attributes to be a starting right back for Everton. I think over the years, the problem is we've just been spoilt with Seamus and Leighton Baines on the other side. I think those two fullbacks are probably it's probably one of the best combinations the Premier League's ever seen. So I think as Evertonians, we have been spoilt in that department. So to have Mikalenko and Patterson on either side moving forward, having two young fullbacks, I think it's a little bit of a downgrade. We can't deny that, but I do think they do both have the attributes to be starting fullbacks for Everton. And for me, as you said, I think it would shift the attacking mentality. I think it'd shift the mentality well because he does like to get forward. He does like to overlap, and he's got the pace to do so. He might not have the defensive brain yet. He might not have that fully defensive awareness to be that starting right back. However, that can be coached. I think we saw it with Mikalenko. you look at the other side with Mikolenko, everyone was worried about his attacking ability. And I think these, defensive awareness and attacking ability can definitely be coached into players. So for me, it's one of them where a spell in the team would do Nathan Patterson good. However, do we look at it these last 10 games? Do we throw him in a lot of pressure? If he makes a mistake, will that massively affect his confidence? So there's debates either side. There's arguments to suggest for both sides.
I think you've probably got to go all in or not at all, really, because
Mm,
if you just throw him in cold when he's not played, then he's more likely to make a mistake then. But if he starts making a few in some big games, then that's when all the worry starts, isn't it? And he does get a lot of stick, to be fair. And obviously he's been in the news lately with the incident that happened in Portugal, which seems like overall it's something that is brushed under the carpet now and it isn't going to affect the players. So I imagine Nathan Patterson's more than available for selection and he will be involved in the Bournemouth game and beyond. But I think he's probably the one that we should take a chance on because we have to try something new, don't we? There's clearly something isn't working at the moment. We haven't won in 11 games. So there definitely needs to be something new tried. And maybe bringing him just will deliver that for us. I'd say his
mm.
standout game this season might have been at Burnley when he was playing a bit further forward, when he was
Yeah,
part of a
yeah,
five and he was a right wing back. He had that freedom to overlap and he put a great cross in actually as well. And maybe that's what we need, just someone with a bit more attacking impetus to just drive the rest of the team. And yes, he will make mistakes, that's expected, but you'd hope that with two fantastic centre backs, it has to be said, they could maybe cover for him, they could coach him through it a bit. It's very important to think about mentors on the pitch, isn't it? And if you've got
yeah, yeah.
Jared Branthwaite, who's now almost he plays like an experienced professional, doesn't he? And James Tarkowski as well, who we know is a leader. That might just help Patterson along a bit. And you're exactly right when you say games are what is going to make him improve. And maybe we can just give him these last 10 games and go, you know what? If he delivers, he delivers. But the other option really is either putting Ashley Young in, who's a bit too old for it, or taking the gamble on Seamus with injuries and that. So there has to be a bit of trust. And I think the main theme with the right backs is trust, isn't it? With Dyche, I think he
Mm.
trusts the older lads and he doesn't seem to trust Patterson yet. And maybe just a few good performances might change that. Do you think it will?
Yeah, I think it will. And with Patterson again, it's just a confidence thing. He's such a confidence player. If he gets that good run of form in the team, I think that's where we'll see him go from strength to strength. And another player that is like that, who I was thinking about, is Ben Godfrey. I think he's a player that's obviously played at right back since I don't know. He's had quite a long spell, quite a lengthy spell at right back now, and it was a little bit of an experiment that maybe Sean Dyche was going with. Where do you stand on that? Because I'm a little bit tentative to maybe give my opinion until I've heard yours because I'm very mixed about Ben Godfrey. I think he's got that recovery pace. He's got that tackling ability that we've seen so many times in an Everton shirt. And it's just, is it sustainable between now and the end of the season? Because he is making a lot of mistakes. And the experiment maybe culminated in quite a poor performance at Old Trafford where he was ripped to shreds. Is that an accurate representation of it?
Well, he certainly was the year before, wasn't he, with Anthony? That was a terrifying one, that. But it just sums it up, doesn't it? Really, like we've got so much depth at right back, but we also have a centre back who can play right back. So personnel wise, there's loads of options, and Godfrey has been one that Dyche seems to have favoured lately. And yes, he's a centre back, but he's got that pace, hasn't he? The biggest
Mm,
thing for him is his athleticism. That is the biggest thing for Ben Godfrey. We've always said it. He's the defender who can beat you in a foot race, and that is something that's very important at right back, getting up and down the pitch. But we see when he crosses the halfway line, he hasn't got it in an attacking sense at all. And you wouldn't expect him to. He's a centre back. It's like he
yeah.
shouldn't be able to do that. And I think that limits us for sure, just having
Mm,
someone who can't really progress further than the halfway line. And when he does, it does kind of fall apart a bit. But those lung busting runs is what I love about Ben Godfrey. He sometimes just drives the rest of the team. And at home, when he does one of them, it gets the crowd up. And we
mm,
know how important that is as well. Defensively, it's awareness and aerial ability that's my issue with him, really. He's not great in
mm.
the air and he often gets caught not noticing what's behind him. And I really like the guy and I want him to do well, but I imagine the rest of his career he is going to do well as a centre back, not as a right
Mm.
back.
I was gonna say, like, I was thinking about maybe next season moving him into centre half, and you know, we most likely will lose Jared Branthwaite in the summer. James Tarkowski will obviously stay. So why not try a partnership of James Tarkowski and Ben Godfrey as a centre half partnership? Like, I think as you said there, he is probably going to move into centre half sooner rather than later. I think the experiment of him playing at fullback is soon to be over. Why not try him as that centre half, and why not try and have him as backup for the centre back position? Because as you said, he's got the athleticism, he's got the tackling ability, he's got the recovery pace. So they're three quite key attributes for a centre back. Maybe not a full back, but a centre back certainly. So, you know, why not try and have him as that backup at centre half and maybe look to move him away from the full back position?
Yeah, I think he's suited more to being a centre back overall, but there are some issues that I do worry about with him, and maybe it would lend himself to the third centre back in a three. That could be somewhere where I see Ben Godfrey actually playing regular football. If we ever do move to a three, I think that could work as him being that fullback who, well, the centre back who could almost fill in at fullback if we do have a high flyer like Nathan Patterson. Maybe if we had Mikalenko and Patterson as the wing backs, and then we had a new centre back if Branthwaite had to leave, or Branthwaite, Tarkovsky, and then Godfrey. I think as the
Mm,
third defender and maybe the spare man, that could be his ideal position just because it just makes up for those slight defensive issues that he has got. But it also means that he can cover if we have got slower centre backs, which James Tarkovsky obviously isn't the fastest. So he could help
yeah.
cover him. That could be somewhere where I could see it working for him.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about tactics, isn't it? And it's all about systems. I think that would definitely work. However, is Sean Dyche willing to change to that system? Probably not. So
It's a big risk, isn't it,
I
with 10
think
games
it's
to
it,
go?
it is a big risk with 10 games to go. And I think that's, as we said, I think we said yesterday with the striker situation, with the two up front, it's something you'd maybe work in pre-season, or if you had a lengthy break, for example, if you had that time to bed the squad in and to be able to play that system, I think that's where you would look to do that. Whereas between now and the end of the season, there's probably not enough time to implement a clear idea to do that. So yeah, it's food for thought, but I want to get your thoughts sort of to wrap it up with, who would you go between now and the end of the season? Who's your first choice to go with at right back?
I think Nathan Patterson for me. I'd say I'd
Mm,
take that gamble. It's time to take a gamble on the team. We've had a break. We've hopefully had some time to coach some defensive patterns into him and just to help hone that a bit. And I think it's time to just bring him in, throw him in for the last 10, bring Coleman in as and when, perhaps as a substitute, maybe on
mm.
60 minutes even, and maybe in certain games, perhaps in the derby, you'd bring Coleman in. But
Yeah, yeah.
especially at home, it's Nathan Patterson for me. What would you say?
Yeah, no, you're spot on, 100%. I think, as you said before, it's that attacking mentality it brings. I think if you can have that attacking output from a fullback, I think Nathan Patterson's the player to do that. So for me, 100% Nathan Patterson has to have a run in the team now. And I think if he does hit a bit of form and go from strength to strength, like we saw with Mikalenko, don't think there's any reason why we should be looking to replace him in the summer. So yeah, for me, I think it's time now. As you said, it's time to put him in.
We might need a new right back anyway in case the
Yeah,
two
yeah,
older lads have to be phased out. But you know, we need to get to a point where we maybe have someone really competing with him. But the fact that he's an attacking right back means he's probably got a place in the Everton squad for a few years to come. And fingers crossed
yeah,
he
yeah.
progresses. But you guys are going to have to let us know what you think. We've debated and we've laid it all out there. The right backs, all of them. There's so many of them. Who knew Everton had so much squad depth? We do. Let us know in the comments who you think should start in these final 10 games. Very important games, and we need solidity, but we also need something just to spark the attacking players and spark the team in general to start putting the ball in the back of the net. So let us know what you think. We do hope you've enjoyed today on the Toffee Blues. Leave a like, subscribe, but that is all for now. See you later.